Alright, hey everybody, what's going on? Zuri the Illusion Lemur, DustyMill here, and we are back with another Top 10 video. This video was actually supposed to be Top 10 Pokemon that deserve a normal evolution as requested by one of the comments in the previous Top 10 video. But I went through and I was looking at all the Pokemon and everything. I'm gonna end up making that video eventually, just so everyone knows. But I was noticing, once I started recording it and like, you know, talking and all that stuff, out of my top 10, I think like 7 of them were Generation 2 Pokemon. I had no Gen 4s, no Gen 5s, and only like one Gen 6. That was an honorable mention, because I couldn't think of any of them that I wanted to have an evolution. They were all like Gen 1, 2, and a few 3s. And then when I finally was like, alright, so I want these guys, most of them were Gen 2, I noticed. So I was going to do that list over. I don't know when it'll come out. But in the meantime, I figured I'd go ahead and make my list of my top 10 favorite Pokemon. Alright, so without any further ado, let's get to it. Kicking off my list is a Gen 2 Pokemon. I promise there's actually some variety in these ones, unlike the video that I was trying to make. But anyways, number 10 is Wooper. And aside from the fact that I just said Wooper like Wooper, that just sounded weird. But look at Wooper. It's so cute. I mean, he's so happy. And he doesn't have arms. And not to mention the fact that if every time I look at his stomach now, I just think of like a Wi-Fi signal or something. But he's not the only one that has a Wi-Fi signal on his stomach. There is another Pokemon, an Abomination, which will not be named, that also has one on its stomach. But anyone who does not like Wooper, there's just something wrong with you. He's so happy and has no arms. That's why I'm assuming when he evolves into Quagsire, he probably gets, like, prosthetic arms or something. But for the time being, he just has sticks or something sticking out of the side of his face. Alright, number 9 on my list goes to Flygon. Now, I think Flygon is actually the only dragon type on my list. When I was looking through a bunch of Pokemon, I'm like, alright, which ones do I really like and stuff? Because I had like 6 of these just nailed down. They are on my top 10, but there's some other ones I had to think of. And I think Flygon is my only dragon type on this list, but I really like Flygon. It was just something about him. Like, I like Gen 3. A lot of people don't, but I kind of like it. You know, it's supposed to be, you know, a tropical setting kind of thing, so the Pokemon are all bright and colorful, and Flygon is not an exception to that rule. He's bright green, dark green, bright red. Overall, I just really like Flygon, and he's got pretty decent stats as well. He's got pretty much base 80 stats besides his attack and speed, which are both 100. He's not a bad Pokemon. Alright, number 8 on my list is Lucario. Now, I feel like out of all the Pokemon that are on my list, probably there's 2 that I imagine would be a little generic, and one of them is Lucario. But how can you not like Lucario? I mean, if anyone has ever used a Lucario, they know the destruction that this thing brings. I mean, he's got really good, he's got pretty good attack, I should say. It's 110 base, 110 attack. Base 115 special attack, but then you get Mega Lucario, which by the way just looks amazing, and it boosts up his stats even more, with I think Mega Lucario's attack being like 5 points higher than his special attack. So you can have a physically attacking Lucario or a special attacking, whichever you like. The only issue I have with Lucario is the fact that Game Freak cannot decide on proper heights for these Pokemon. I see Lucario being about 5'5", somewhere between maybe 5'5" to 5'10"-ish in that range. He's 3'11". Lucario can be classified as a little person, and Lucario's height is just one of the many stupid Pokédex things that Game Freak has done, but that may be another video for another time. But despite your height, Lucario, you midget you, I love you. Alright, now on our list is number 7, I believe. And once again, this is the other, I guess, generic-ish Pokemon that I imagine will be on most people's list, Gengar. Now, unlike Lucario, Gengar actually has a decent height, where he's 4'11". You know, there's just some stupid heights in the Pokédex. Like, I'll never be able to ride on a Charizard, because I think he should be somewhere in the 6-foot range, upper 6-foot range, and he's like in the lower 5 foot or something like that. But Gengar's a solid 4'11", so not bad. And Gengar's just awesome. I mean, Gengar's evolutionary line probably had the best sprites in the original games, with Haunter taking the cake as the best sprite in the entire game. with Mew having the worst. And then you come around with Gen 6, and you got a Mega Evolution. Now, there was some concept art that went around. It turned out to be fake, which I kind of liked it. I do also enjoy the thing the one they chose with Mega Gengar. The only issue I have with Mega Gengar is when you send out, like when you switch Mega Gengar out for another Pokemon, and then you send him back in, he has these just a disgusting, fatty, gross legs. Like, I don't know what they did. I don't know why they gave him feet, but they are horrible. Mega Gengar's feet, I should say, are things that children would have nightmares about. They are just horrible. But you know what? The workaround to that is just don't switch out Mega Gengar, and we don't have an issue here. But you know what, Gengar? Despite your disgusting feet when you become a Mega, you're still one of my favorite Pokemon. Alright, number 6 on my list belongs to not one, but 2 Pokemon, and they are Electivire and Magmoretar. Now, I honestly couldn't choose which one I liked more between these two because I really like both of them. If I had to go design-wise, I would maybe go Electivire. I kind of like Electivire's design more than Magmoretar, but Magmoretar's design is still pretty cool. His mouth is a little weird, but the guy's got cannons for arms! And plus, when I was actually starting to look into Eevee training and stuff when Black and White 2 was out, Magmoretar was actually the first Pokemon I ever Eevee trained, and he came over with the Pokemon Bank when they finally released that. Now he's sitting comfortably in my Gen 6 game, which he probably will not get any use. But you know, he still holds that special place in my heart as the first Pokemon I ever Eevee trained. And then you've got Electivire. I don't know what to say about Electivire, to be honest. He's just awesome. His design is really good. He's got really good attack. He's got decent stats, but his attack is really good. He's only weak to ground, whereas Magmoretar is weak to water, rock, and ground. And do I even need to mention, again, the design? I mean, it's not Magmoretar. I'm sorry, Magmoretar. But Electivire has to have one of the best designs in a Pokemon overall. Magmoretar, you'd probably be higher up there if it wasn't for the fact that I find your mouth to be really creepy. Alright, number 5. And it is the first and only 6th gen Pokemon on here, Greninja. Now, throughout all the Pokemon games, except for one, I have always preferred the water starter, the only exception being Tepig in Gen 5. But Gen 6 came out and I saw Froakie, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going with Froakie, I bet you he'll be the best one, just because, you know, I'm biased like that. But then they revealed the final evolutions, well actually they were leaked, and then Game Freak finally released them. And hands down, without a doubt, Greninja won in terms of best design final evolution for the starters of the 6th generation. His stats are really good, and that protein ability, oh, you put a life orb on Greninja with his protein and he just destroys. I absolutely love Greninja. There's a bunch of 6th gen Pokemon I like, but Greninja takes the cake as the best one. Alright, number 4 on my list is the first and the only legendary Pokemon that is on this list. Number 4 belongs to Entei. Now, I absolutely love Entei. I mean, Suicune and Raikou are alright, but they just don't hold a candle to the behemoth that is Entei. And plus, I always remember as a kid watching the Entei movie and just absolutely loving it. That's why I was so happy when Gen 6 came out and I was finally able to get my hands on an Entei. Granted, it was a Japanese one, but I don't care, I've got Entei. The only thing I have to say that's kind of weird about Entei is his Pokédex entries, where Game Freak, I don't think they know what they were doing. Like, in Gold and Leaf Green, it says volcanoes erupt when it barks. Alright, so every time an Entei barks, a volcano erupts. But then, in Silver, Fire Red, and Soul Silver, it says one is born every time a new volcano appears. And then, Ruby and Sapphire, it says that it was born in the eruption of a volcano. Then they went back to their inconsistency with Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Black and White, Black 2 and White 2, and Heart Gold all saying that when it barks or roars, a volcano erupts. So it's like, what happens? Does an Entei get born every time it barks? Or, I mean, if that's the case, then Entei would be the most populated Pokemon ever, because it would be born when a new volcano is formed, and it would also be born when one erupts. So a volcano was born, a Entei came out of it, Entei barked, a new one came out, those Entei barked, and there's 2 more. They barked, it becomes 8! Not to mention all the volcanoes that would have appeared after that. I mean, there'd be Enteis everywhere. So you know what, Entei? There may be 600 million of you everywhere, but I still absolutely love you, and you are my favorite legendary ever. Alright, number 3 belongs to Totodile. Not the Totodile line. I do like Croconaw and Fraligator, but Totodile is just amazing because of the anime. I watched all of the Kanto anime when I was a kid, and I watched a lot of the Johto one. And I always remember Ash catching the Totodile in the Lure Ball, which is probably one of my favorite Pokeball designs, and his Totodile just being so happy every time he summoned it. It was so happy. He'd be dancing around like, yeah, Totodile! I love Totodile so much. He's just so he's like Wooper. He's so happy, but Totodile has arms. Wooper's happy, but it doesn't have arms, while Totodile does. Totodile can just walk up and slap the crap out of that Wooper, and then all Wooper can do is like poke him with a stick that's sticking out of his face. But you know what, Totodile? You are my favorite starter. You are my 3rd favorite Pokemon. I absolutely adore Totodile, just because of how happy he always was. Number 2 on my list belongs to Raichu. Now, growing up as a kid, watching Pokemon on TV, you'd see Ash and his Pikachu, and Ash's Pikachu would destroy Team Rocket, beat Brock because of a sprinkler system, but whatever. He ended up getting the Cascade badge from Misty's gym in a battle that we all know he was going to win anyways. And so you're watching this Pikachu just episode after episode after episode destroy Team Rocket and a few other trainers, and he's getting gym badges, and then he comes up against the 10-foot tall Lieutenant Surge. Now, I don't know if Lieutenant Surge was actually about 10 feet tall, but Ash is literally like, the top of his hat was maybe to his belt buckle in the show. I mean, Lieutenant Surge is a monster. He's huge. And you watch Ash challenge his Raichu with his Pikachu, and Raichu just demolished that Pikachu. Not even a chance. We're not even going to talk about Pikachu coming back and obviously cheating. I mean, Pikachu has to cheat to beat Raichu. It's the only way. But after I saw that, I was like, oh my god, Raichu, you monster! Which is also part of the reason why Raichu is in my top 10 Pokemon that I think should get a Mega Evolution, because I just love Raichu so much. And I think he needs something. They gave him a tiny stat boost for Gen 6, but I don't think it's enough. I want to be able to use Raichu. I've actually been working on a way to see if I can make him useful. So far, no success. Game Freak, change that for me, please. Give Raichu something. Let him be the behemoth that he deserves to be. And now, my number 1 pick for my favorite Pokemon, my all-time favorite Pokemon, and it should be obvious if you've watched any of my previous Pokemon Let's Plays, because he's sitting in the layout the entire time. My number 1 pick is Umbreon. Now, Raichu was my favorite until Gen 2 came around and I saw Umbreon. There was just something about Umbreon that I just loved. And unlike Raichu, even to this day, you can still use Umbreon perfectly fine. He's got pretty decent HP, very good defense, and very good special defense. He is a tank, and I love him so much, and not to mention his shiny is amazing. That is why when Gen 6 came out, I had no problem doing the Masuda method until I got my shiny Umbreon. Alright, so that has been my top 10 all-time favorite Pokemon list. In the comments, tell me what your favorite Pokemon is and why, and also tell me what's another top 10 I should do. I've already done now the top 10 favorites, which may make a return in later generations, maybe if I gain one or lose one. And I've done top 10 Pokemon that I think should get a Mega. So let me know which Pokemon top 10 video you would like to see. And also, remember to hit that like button. As always, hit the subscribe button. I'll be bringing out more of these top 10 videos after I, read the comments and see which ones I think would be the better top 10 video. And as always, I thank you all for watching. From Zuri the Elysian Lemur, I'm DustyMill. Bye, everybody.